Welcome back to another episode of Quest, episode 12. So excited tonight. Kind of scared, a little bit. We had to pray a little bit extra tonight. A little bit of anxiety because this is a very touchy subject.
Yes,
and
it is.
We have, flip-flopped on this, over the years. We haven't always came to this conclusion, but after examining a lot of the evidence that we've seen and through prayer and talking and just taking the time to break through the cognitive dissonance.
That's right.
We have come to a different conclusion about what's really going on over there in the Middle East. And so cognitive dissonance. So I'm going to give you a little opening statement here, but I just want to share with you what the definition of cognitive dissonance is. So cognitive dissonance is the psychological discomfort you feel when your actions, beliefs, or values clash because the human brain craves consistency. This internal friction causes mental tension that we are instinctively driven to resolve. So cognitive dissonance. So as you see, the title of tonight's episode is Gaza a Genocide? The evidence they don't want you to see. And definitely, I would even say probably this, if any of the videos we've done so far will get shadow banned or that they'll want people not to watch that, this by far is definitely number one on the chart so far of videos that they'll try to keep away from people seeing them. So tonight we're tackling one of the most controversial and emotionally charged questions of our time. Is Gaza a genocide? And before you answer too quickly, consider the role that cognitive dissonance plays when facts, beliefs, politics, religion, and emotions collide. They clash. Many people only see one side of this conflict, while others refuse to examine evidence that challenges their worldview. In this episode, episode 12 tonight with Quest, we're going to set aside all the propaganda, slogans, narratives, and take a really hard look at a lot of the facts and the history and the humanitarian crisis that we're seeing unfold in the Middle East. And we're going to ask difficult questions, even as we've asked ourselves. And many are not willing to ask these questions. So for those of you watching, we really have to take inventory. What do we really believe about this over in Gaza? So whether you agree with us or not, we encourage you to listen all the way through this message before reaching any conclusion. The truth deserves more than just a headline. It deserves an honest investigation. So we're going to jump right into it tonight. Thanks for joining in. I'm your host, John Williams, and this is co-host here, Jennifer Williams.
Yes, and I encourage everybody to really listen with an open mind. And quick disclaimer we want to give before we start the show. We love our life. Yes. We love our families. We're in perfect health, and we're not suicidal.
Yes, we are not suicidal.
For people who know, will know what we're talking about.
Right.
And other people, maybe you don't know now, but maybe you will know what we're talking about by the end of the show.
Exactly.
So, this is a very touchy topic. And let me say, my viewpoint on this is I absolutely believe this is a genocide. I believe that they've been ethnically cleansing Palestine since Israel came in and occupied in 1948 and kicked the people out of their land, and now they're just killing them off. And so I absolutely believe that with all of my heart. Did I always believe that? No, I didn't. No. So after, and to my shame, really, and I'm glad that the Lord opened my eyes on these things, and he did it through my daughter.
Right.
So right after October the 7th happened, I was like many of the world and most Christians who have this idea because we've been brainwashed.
We have.
We've been brainwashed
Absolutely.
Since 9/11 to believe that all Muslims are terrorists. It has been ingrained into every fiber of our being. Sure. And I believe that. I had this strong, almost like a hatred towards Muslims because in my mind, I thought they're all terrorists. All they want to do is kill. They want to chop off everyone's heads. They're going to come to America and do what they did to Israel in America. So I believed that with all of my heart. And I had this deep hatred in me for Muslims. And I was even preparing, like, you know what, if they come to my door, I'm taking them out.
Right.
And I've said it many a times, partially because we've been brainwashed to believe that all Muslims are terrorists, and that's not the case. I'm not saying that there's not terrorists. Of course there's terrorists,
Right.
but there's Jewish terrorists. There's American. There's bad people across the whole spectrum.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, we're all human beings. We're all created in the image of God.
That's right.
And this goes against every teaching that Jesus gave on how we're supposed to love our neighbors, how we're supposed to love our enemies, how we're supposed to do good and not harm. And what Israel's doing, I mean, they're going against their own 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet
Right.
anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Right.
They're just going in there and taking what they want. So I'm just going to stop
Preach,
right now.
preach,
Just
preach.
start on a little bit.
Well, right.
But
right.
yeah, so anyway, my daughter actually was the first one to open my eyes on these things because I had such a strong stance against Muslims. And
Right.
after October 7th had happened, my daughter had asked me what was my view on what was happening there. And of course, I gave I gave what I just said, about, they're all terrorists, they're all killers, they deserve to die. Look what they did, Look, of course, what happened on October 7th is unimaginable. It's horrific. But you do not go and start ethnically cleansing. They've been doing that. You don't take it further and just wipe out a whole ethnic group of people. No. Because something happened. They're killing more than Hamas. And once we go into the show and you understand a little bit more of what Hamas is, maybe you'll have a different understanding of them, because we've had to really look into and investigate all of this ourselves because we didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, the terrorists, they're terrorists, get them. Right. And so anyway, with talking with my daughter, she really opened my eyes to what's really happening there. And it sent us on a quest to find out the truth. And, my viewpoints have radically changed, and I stand with the Palestinian people. I don't stand with Israel.
Right.
Just putting that out there now. So
not that we agree
on theology.
With theology, or we're not endorsing Hamas.
No.
We're not endorsing Hezbollah, and we're certainly not endorsing the government of Israel, and we're not even endorsing the government of the United States of America.
Right.
We're thankful for the Constitution. We're thankful for our rights, and we have natural rights that even have nothing to do with the country that we're in. Every human being has rights. We're born with rights, and one of those rights is the right to live.
Right.
And so that's what's at stake here is murder. And to love our neighbor is to stand up for them, whether they're white, black, brown, yellow, whatever side of the river or the sea they're from. It doesn't matter. We need to stand up for our neighbor. You reminded me of the story of the Good Samaritan earlier.
Right.
You know how the religious person walked on by.
Walked right on by because they were different, and that's the
the Samaritans, which we know Samaritans were a mixture of Jew and Gentile, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yes.
Goyim lives matter.
Goyim lives matter. Goyim lives do matter. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there.
Sure.
My wife mentioned it, of course. There are terrorists. There are Jewish terrorists. There are American terrorists. There are definitely terrorists over in the Middle East. But I tell you what, I spent some time with, my mentor, Reuben Israel. I traveled the world with that man. I've been outside many mosques. I've been outside many synagogues. I've been to the Jewish festival in Los Angeles. I've been to Muslim events, been up near Dearborn and faced all types of people from different religions, especially people that were Muslim or that were Jewish. And I tell you what, I know that Reuben got the worst beating, not from the Muslims, not from the Christians, but actually from the
the
Jewish,
Jews.
from the Jews. The Jews
Right.
were the only ones that really roughed him up really bad. And I tell you what, I have discovered from the evidence that we are putting together tonight, along with a lot more,
Right.
that I believe worse than any Muslim extremist or terrorist are the Jewish Muslim or the Jewish
the
extremists.
Zionists.
The Zionists. The Zionists,
Right.
right.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we've been brainwashed. We've been
We have
brainwashed in
been.
America. And it's not just since 9/11.
No.
Even though for us it's really been since 9/11.
Right.
But, I mean, it goes back, it goes back to World War II and even before that. Of this propaganda and this brainwashing that's happened, and we're gonna give a lot of. We've had at least 14, 15 clips tonight that we're gonna bring on here
Yeah.
and show to you, and so don't take our word for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, listen to the evidence that we submit to you tonight from past presidents, from speakers, from other journalists. It's a wide array of information that we're going to present tonight. And I believe if you'll truly weigh this
Right,
with the
open
Spirit
your
of God,
mind.
with an open mind, and even based off the Bible, you are going to see that Israel, and I'm not talking about the Israel of the Bible, the chosen people of God. I'm talking the nation of Israel that came in, 1948?
Yes.
Right.
The synagogue of Satan.
The synagogue of Satan, those that say they're Jews and that are not. I'm talking about the ones that Bibi Netanyahu are running.
Secular.
That's secular Jews. Those aren't real Jews.
Right.
That's not really the God's Israel. And so these people, they don't even like Christians. They hate Christians worse than
They
hate Christians.
They hate Christians
worse than
they hate
Muslims.
Jesus.
They hate
Oh, I
Jesus.
know.
And
Okay.
they spit on Christians. Ask any of the saints. What's the Lady Street preacher? She's been around for a long, long time. I can't think of her name right now. But she trained under Angela Cummings.
Yes.
Angela Cummings, she's preached in Israel many times, and she's been spit on and I believe thrown in jail and had all types of persecution. So many other Christians have been over there to Israel and been spit on and been treated poorly. I'm telling you, they hate the Christians more than they hate the Muslims.
Yes, they
and
do.
so we're going to get into some of this. But go ahead.
So another thing we wanted to say, we're not anti-Semitic.
No.
We don't hate anybody. We love all people as we're commanded to do. And so we're just speaking the truth. And there's a lot of truth out there that people don't know. And we're brainwashed. And depending what church you go to,
Right.
you're brainwashed too. I'm sure
Right.
your church has an Israel flag in the front. Most of them do.
Netanyahu's anti-Semitic. I mean, the Palestinians are Semitic people.
Right.
These are Semitic people. So, we have been totally brainwashed.
We have
been.
been.
And, we love Jesus. He's our Lord and
Yes.
Savior. He's the only way to the Father. Jesus is the way, truth, and life. Maybe you're just tuning in. But I'm telling you, you need to listen to the facts of this video and see that we've been duped. We've been deceived by the government of Israel over there. And what are we doing? We're sending billions of dollars to destroy people. To
Right.
destroy
Our tax dollars are killing innocent civilians.
It's horrible.
Women and children, and it's really bad. So let me just start out right here. I'm gonna read a quote from this guy. I had just bought one of his books in the past week. His name is Norman Finkelstein. And so I recommend that if you want to look deeper into this, look him up on YouTube, and you can watch many of his videos on this topic. But so he gives a speech, and I'm just going to read it from the transcript of a video because I find it very interesting what he says here. Okay. So he says, this is him speaking. He says, okay, the question is, how do you understand what happened on October 7th? And that's what I'm going to try to do this afternoon, to try to make sense of what happened on October 7th. So let me begin.
Sorry, go ahead. I don't know why that came.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me begin with a.
Sorry. Technical difficulties. Sorry. Trying to get it queued up for you after that.
Okay.
Please start again. Start again. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to go all the way back, but here we go. Okay.
I'm muting. Sorry.
All right, mute it. All right, here we
right.
go. The question is, how do you understand what happened on October 7th? And and that's what I'm going to try to do this after. And you still got the volume. I'm trying to read this.
It's muted on here and it's not over here. Hey, this is real. This is raw. This isn't recorded. This is live. And she sent me a bunch of clips with Instagram.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Oh, I'm
right,
wrong.
well, just
I'm wrong.
don't-
That is a YouTube clip, so that I take it full of responsibility for that. But if I mess up on
Okay.
an Instagram clip, it was her fault. But that was a YouTube clip. Forgive me.
Okay, let's start over with
I'm
Norman.
not touching anything.
Norman. Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Oh, praise God.
Start again.
Please. Thank you, Jesus.
All right. Where was I at now? Here we
Bless
go. What happened on October 7th? And that's what I'm going to try to do this afternoon, try to make sense of what happened on October 7th. So let me begin with a hypothetical. Imagine the following situation. There's this African American and 40 others. They go together on a murderous rampage. He, their leader, his order that he gives the people is kill all white people. Okay. And in fact, that's what these 40s or so individuals proceed to do. They go from house to house and kill everybody. They hack women to death. They behead children. It's quite horrible what happened. And to any reasonable, sane person, if I were to ask the question, would you condemn this murderous rampage led by an individual who gives the homicidal order to kill all the white people? The rhetorical answer would be, of course. That's a no-brainer. But then, what if you start mentioning some of the other facts? What if you mention that all 40 of those individuals were slaves?
Wow.
What if you mention that they were born into slavery? They languished the whole of their lives in slavery, and they were fated to die as slaves. What if you then were told that in a last fit of desperation, they engaged in this revolt to overthrow the system of slavery? When you add in those facts, then I suspect that many people in this room, they would not be so quick to condemn those 40 individuals for what they did. And as some of you know, what I just described is not a hypothetical. It was the largest slave rebellion in the United States, and it was led by a person named Nat Turner.
Right.
So when we go into that, and if I went down and read further, what he's trying to get at is that ultimately the actions of this man, Nat Turner, were not condemned by the abolitionists and people that were fighting for the people to be free. So what is Hamas and what is Hezbollah? Hamas is a resistance group, just like the resistance that rose up Nat Turner because the people were being oppressed. So they rose up. Hamas is this on the same level. It is a resistance group in Palestine for the people of Palestine. Hezbollah is in Lebanon. I'm not saying that we're for Hamas. We're for Hezbollah. I'm just giving the facts here. So that's interesting, that correlation there between Nat Turner and Hamas. So the people of Palestine have been enslaved for years and years and years. So this October 7th, it didn't start something on October 7th. It's been going on since before 1948. Many of the U.S. presidents that have visited Gaza, even before this happened, all throughout the years have said that Gaza is a concentration camp. It's an open air prison where the people have been oppressed, where they're being systematically starved to the point of death. Even before October 7th, now it's way worse. They're being pushed out of their lands. Their homes are being taken, and it's really deep and it's unfair. And so Hamas came about because the people have lived in oppression for so long. So what's that saying? You can only, don't corner a rat right?
Right,
So
right.
when somebody is caged and oppressed for so long and they're being starved or they're in one form of slavery or not, the people are going to rise up and rebel. And we don't understand that here in the United States of America. We've got it good, right? But over there it's a different story.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to say that as we get started. And
Absolutely. Yeah, you better believe, if China invades or Russia invades, and we've got pockets of militias, or I think of even like the Proud Boys, which most of those aren't Christian, but I've known some guys involved with that, and groups like that rising up and not just standing and like preaching or standing and protecting, but actually with weapons. Because
Right.
why? I mean, you start putting you start starving Americans, or you start, taking Americans' weapons, or you start killing Americans' kids on American soil, like in front of their parents and things like that, you better watch all the groups that rise up and start
Right.
fighting back against that oppression.
Right. Well, that's like how we were talking when we were outside, and I said, okay, imagine, let's just say hypothetically here, let's just say like China or another country or
Right.
whatever country you want to imagine. Let's
Right.
just say
Right.
they came in and let's just say they started kicking people out of their houses, okay,
Right.
and taking their house and their belongings as theirs. Doesn't matter if
Right.
it's yours or not. They say you get out now,
Right.
and they've got weapons and stuff. So you just like in a state of fear, and you don't want your family to get killed. You're like, okay, imagine they evacuate like California to like Texas. Let's
Right.
just say
Right.
even if they just took over California, let's just
Right.
say, you don't think patriots would start rising up in this country and being like, you know what, we're going to do something. We're the resistance. We're going to rise up and do
Right.
something. You better believe they would.
That's right.
And that's what Hamas is. So I'm
But
just
everybody-
breaking it
but-
down.
But hey, I mean, it's probably just a coincidence, but I'm going to throw it out there. I mean, right around 1948, the television was around there, and it wasn't invented too much before that. It may have been invented, but it wasn't highly disseminated. So really, America got really big in the TV in I think the late 40s, 50s, 60s, to where everybody had televisions. And so they really capitalized with those televisions, because that's how they have fed so much propaganda, and of course the radio prior to that. But they've really brainwashed people, and so they
yes.
can tell you what to think, they can tell you what to believe, they can tell you what to shop. And now they've got algorithms, and now they know what you want before you even want it, because they've got, we're like programmed or something like that.
Oh, definitely.
So we're
And
deprogramming.
besides Israel geofencing every Christian's phone and sending you Israeli propaganda, I mean, really, it's deep. It goes really deep. And so by the end of this show, I hope that people will wake up and realize that the Palestinians aren't the enemy.
Right.
The Israeli terrorists are. And that's just
right.
allegedly my opinion. It's the truth, though.
Sure.
So, I
and
mean,
we're not
in the-
saying all Jews, and we're not saying
No,
everybody that lives in
no.
Israel, but
It's
the people that are
Zionists.
running it, the
The
people that are
Zionists.
running it, the people
Greater
that are in control,
Israel.
Greater Israel, this government that's running Netanyahu and his ilk like him. Yeah, for sure. They're definitely terrorists. They're the worst terrorists of all kind.
And I just want to give these statistics real quick before we start. In the last 2.5 years, 315,000 homes are destroyed. 90% of homes in Gaza are gone. 60 million tons of rubble.
Wow. So you want me to play this clip about
So
the
we're
real
going to just start
Right.
the clips that we have.
Right. So let's get some clips going. And I'd stage, make us small here. We want you to be able to see. This is the real story of Palestine before 1948.
Do you know that before 1948, Palestine was a peaceful land with thriving cities, schools, and trade? Long before it became a war zone under British rule. Palestine, you know that before 1948, Palestine was a peaceful land with thriving cities, schools, and trade. Long before it became a war zone under British rule. Palestine was home to Muslims, Christians, and Jews, living side by side in cities like Jerusalem, Jaffa, and Haifa. It had railways, universities, and farms that exported oranges across the world. But everything changed after World War II. The British handed over control to the newly formed United Nations, which decided to divide Palestine into two states, one Jewish, one Arab. The problem? Most of the land was already home to Palestinians, who were never asked for their consent. In 1948, when the State of Israel was declared, war broke out. Over 700,000 Palestinians were forced from their homes. Entire villages wiped off the map. What was once called the land of coexistence turned into a land of exile and walls. Today, more than 75 years later, millions of Palestinians still live as refugees. Their original towns gone, their history erased. So the question is, if a people lose their land, their homes, and even their name, do they still have a country? Do you know?
Wow.
So that is, people every year they celebrate Israel, but really it's the Nakba. And so you wanted to read
Nakba?
this right here,
Sure.
first of all.
Nakba?
You could just read that whole.
And this is about the Nakba?
Yes.
Okay, the Nakba. We're going to get into that video, actually 2 videos from now. The Nakba. So you want me to read it now or before the Nakba
Yeah,
video?
you can read it
Read it
now,
now? Okay,
yeah.
so 78 years ago, 800,000 people, 531 villages, and 31 confirmed massacres. This is the Nakba. 800,000 Palestinians expelled, 531 villages destroyed, and 31 confirmed massacres in Palestine. Now, massacres, don't get it twisted. A massacre is not like killing just one person. A massacre is like a whole group of people taken out. And yes, and then 1947, Jews owned less than 6% of the land. But by the end of 1948, Zionist forces had captured more than 80% of Palestinian land. So the ethnic cleansing began in December of 1947.
Yes.
Yes. So right. So we're going to talk. The next video here, pull up, is a journalist by the name of Max Blumenthal. And, I believe he's unbiased. He'll give you both sides of the story. And he's going to talk about the Nakba in 1947, 1948. So let's open that up, and that's there. And, oh, that's not it. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. So many videos. We've got 2 videos about the Nakba,
Yeah,
right?
you could just go with her.
Yeah, I will.
Right
Let me
now.
see let me see which one I'm trying to figure out, because I've got so many here that trying to pull this one up. There it is. All righty.
War on October 7th.
Well, they didn't. They didn't. This war has been
Again. I wanted to hear the whole thing.
Of course, war is horrible, so why did the Palestinians initiate this war on October 7th?
Well, they didn't. They didn't. This war has been going on for 75 years. Israel initiated it in 1948 by ethnically cleansing 750,000 people. This is what you need to understand. The people in Gaza, over 80% of them are refugees from a place called Majdal Asqalan in what is now southern Israel, in a city called Ashkelon. And they were dragged from their homes and driven from their homes, placed in prison camps, barbed wire prison camps, and then dumped in trucks in 1950 into the Gaza Strip, where they would be permanently warehoused. And then Israel proceeded to move Jewish refugees and Russians into Ashkelon to prevent them from ever coming back. So this didn't come out of a vacuum. You're not going to be able to hold people under siege, cut them off from the world, and then expect them to just play along.
Of course, war.
Wow. And you wonder, people wonder
Right.
why these migrants, and I'm not defending criminal behavior by immigrants or anything like that, but we wonder why the UK and France and other parts of Europe and Germany, are getting flooded with Muslims, right? And I'm not defending the things that some of them are doing. There's bad apples in every bunch. We know that. But no wonder they're fleeing to get away from all of this oppression over these years.
Right.
And so, the Nakba. And so, did you have anything you want to say? And I'll bring up the next one.
So, I mean, we can't imagine that because we live in America. And so we can't imagine just, a group of people coming in and letting them come in after the war. So there was Jews coming in after the war without a place to go. The Palestinian people took them in. And years later, like Israel starts occupying the land and just taking whatever they want. And so you might not like Muslims or you might not like the Palestinian people, but put yourself in their situation.
Right.
Put yourself in that situation as somebody comes in, starts taking your land, starts taking your home, your ancestors' home, and then they start telling you what you can and cannot do. They start blocking you from getting food, that you are living in horrible conditions. What would you do? I don't think many of you know what you would do or what you're capable of doing if this came to your doorstep. Right. But you're so quick to judge others on, this is an atrocity, blah, 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 without really knowing everything behind what's going on. So now we're going to play a video of a lady who they took her dad's home.
Wow. And before we get into that, you were telling me a fact that I did not know yesterday about the Palestinians and like people that are protesting and things like that. They hold on to keys.
Yes.
So they often have keys that they have during the protest, and they're holding the keys up and things like that. Now, what does that key represent during like the protest?
So the key represents like people that have lost their homes.
Right.
Because when they came in and just started grabbing the homes and telling people, go, you got to get out of here. The only thing that these people had left over was their house keys. Right. And so many of them, as a symbol of what has happened, will, they'll carry keys or, you'll see different things like that. Like, you'll see like the watermelon symbol and like different things. Like I got this shirt from a website called Wear the Peace. And so money actually goes to help people that are starving in Gaza.
Nice. Well, we'll go ahead and play this next clip about the Nakba.
The Nakba continues until today, not only in Gaza with the genocide. It's house demolitions in Hebron, in Masafer Yatta, in Ramallah, in Jerusalem. It's deporting people. They don't want to have any Palestinian breathing the air of freedom. On the occasion of the Nakba, what I do is a visit to my father's house in West Jerusalem, where he built his house in 1940, next to my grandmother's house. The idea that my father watches away from his house pains me quite a lot. And every day I think of them. My prayer is not in Al-Aqsa Mosque, but I go to my father's house and I feel happy when I'm there. But when the new occupiers in my father's house, they see me, they call the police immediately. And I was actually arrested more than 3 times just being on the pavement simply because I'm looking at my father's house. So when I'm in the police station with my hands and feet cuffed, they shout at me and they tell me, "Why do you go to this house?" I say, this is my father's house. And they don't know what to charge me. As early as 2002, Israel's government, with the help of settlers' movements, started evicting people from this neighborhood in Sheikh Jarrah because they want to reduce the Palestinian people in East Jerusalem, because they want to keep all of Palestine a Jewish state and with supremacy without anyone else. The order of displacement or eviction means that I might be also evicted. The people in Sheikh Jarrah today who are evicted are becoming refugees for the second, for the third time. They have been chased out of their homes in western part of the city, and now they are again chased out as refugees from the new refuge they have found. So there is nothing new in Israel's policy. What is new today is that thanks to social media and to many activists and journalists, they are making visible all Israel's crimes. I wish and I hope the British young generation pressure the British government, and I thank them for protesting, for getting out in the streets every Saturday, and I watch them, and this gives us hope. The Nakba
Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder it went from 6% ownership of the Jews to 80% in just a few years back in the 1940s, because they just went in there and they took ownership.
They wanted.
They took what they wanted. They just moved in. Here we are. Get out.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You know what I
Right.
mean? And now they're doing the same thing to the settlers right
Right.
now.
Yep.
The Jewish settlers are doing the same thing in Gaza and Palestine right now.
Right.
They're just coming in, and then when the people put up a fight, they just bring in the IDF, and then they have to go. You know, because they're saying, because of their religion, that this is our land.
Yep. And to everyone out there that's watching that, don't care, there is a sin of silence for not, saying anything or
Absolutely.
doing anything. Many of you might go out in front of an abortion clinic and protest for the unborn that are, unjustly, on their way to be killed. What about the people in Gaza? What about those women and children that have never gotten a chance at life, who might eventually get born again? You don't know. And it's not only Muslims over there, it's Christians. Right. Christians are being killed daily, but many of you won't speak up about it because,
It's not convenient.
it's not convenient. It's not the popular opinion.
You might lose your social status.
Or your platform,
Your
or
platform.
whatever.
Oh, so
people might look at you different, or say that you are, whatever, a Muslim lover,
Yeah.
or whatever the case might be.
Right.
But it's not that. It's taking a stand for the oppressed.
Anti-Semitic.
Right.
You know,
Look,
the stigma.
Jesus himself was under oppression.
Right.
He was under Roman occupation.
Yeah.
So do you think that Jesus is not upset
Oh,
about
sure.
what's going on?
Well, yeah. Well, we know Netanyahu and people like that, they believe that Jesus is in hellfire burning in excrement.
Right.
And so they don't even believe in Jesus. So why are you
Right.
defending a people? God says, I
Right.
am no respecter of persons.
Right.
We're not supposed to show any respect to person, no partiality according to God. But people have been brainwashed because of what? Well, because Genesis 12:3 has
Christian
been
Zionism.
Christian Zionism. They've used scriptures like Genesis 12:3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And so they think that, if I don't support Israel and everything they do, if I don't support Netanyahu and everything he does, I'm going to be cursed by God. Yeah. No, that is a lie from the pit of hell. That's twisting scriptures. That's what the devil's saying.
Right.
So the next, we're going to bring up the Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Now, what did Charlie Kirk say? There's so many people out there support Charlie Kirk, but hey, we really believe, in our opinion, that he was taken out allegedly by our greatest ally, which is Israel. They definitely had their hand in the cookie jar for sure. And so let's see what Charlie said just
right before he died.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So let's see here. All right.
This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard-right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay? And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right.
The beginning on
this is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through.
This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have been through.
Right.
Charlie Kirk said that. I didn't say that. My wife didn't say that. Charlie Kirk just said that.
Right. Yep.
The closest thing to the Holocaust is going on right now over there, and it's being committed by Israel.
Yes.
And we're sending billions of dollars
to Israel, right? While we've got homeless people on our streets,
right?
Veterans,
right.
All of our tax dollars, most of our tax dollars are going to Israel. So.
Very much so. And so this is ridiculous. A scripture that I wanted to bring up that my wife had shared with me I don't know if it was yesterday. It was a really good one that really, and there's so many, but it applied to this, was Ecclesiastes 4:1. And I think it applies. Another one that's not on here is Psalm 94:16, I believe it is. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand for me against the workers of iniquity? Who? God's saying who? I'm looking for people that are going to stand up for my children. I'm looking for people that are going to stand up for my creation.
Right.
But hey, it's not convenient, or it's not popular. It's people think I'm crazy, or you don't even take the time, or you just flip the channel, or you don't want to pay attention because it's not American, or because it's not what you look. Your pastors are telling you.
Right.
They're brainwashed. So many of these evangelicals that they're just telling people, well, support Israel, whatever they do, and
Right.
it's
Right.
crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. So this is the verse that I was going to read real quick. That's not it. An ads on the TV, on the ads on the screen. Okay, there it is. All right. So this one right here. Ecclesiastes 4:1-4. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Amen. Just the 4:1 there. But yeah, that's a great verse. I mean, these people are being oppressed, and they have no comforter. Look at all the tears, the children starving to death.
Right.
And here we are just thinking, well, go Israel. Let's fly a flag outside of our window.
Right.
I'm telling you, I
Right.
want to pull over. I want to pull over when I'm driving down the road and people are flying Israel flags out front because they don't even know.
Right, they have no idea.
have no idea.
They have no idea the atrocities that the Israeli government is doing to the people of Gaza, in Lebanon right now. I mean, it is a genocide over there too, and it's all for the greater cause of Israel. That's what it's about, and our government is in bed with Israel.
Right.
So here we have another political figure that was assassinated shortly after he gave this speech right here.
I'm sure he looks very familiar to you people. This didn't start with Charlie Kirk.
No, it
This
didn't.
has started a long time ago. And something seems to be happening to a lot of people that
speak out against Israel.
it. That's why my wife gave the
That's
disclaimer.
why we gave the disclaimer in the
Yes.
beginning that we're not suicidal. We love our life. We're healthy.
Yes, we love our family. We love our life, and we are not suicidal. So praise God. So what happened to JFK? Well, here's one of the reasons why he was taken out.
I have made it clear to the Israeli leadership that I do not support their expansionist ideas. The indigenous people of that land have rights that cannot be ignored. We must find a fair solution, not one dictated by any single group.
That was before the General Assembly there. Right here. This
Today, every inhabitant of this planet must contemplate the day when this planet may no longer be habitable. Every man, woman, and child lives under a nuclear sword of Damocles, hanging by the slenderest of threads, capable of being cut at any moment by accident or miscalculation or by madness. The weapons of war must be abolished before they abolish us.
I have made it.
So JFK didn't support him either.
No,
he did not support their
Israel.
expansion. He did not support their expansion. He stood up for the rights of the settlers that were already there because they have natural human rights that were given to them by God. No man gave them.
Palestinian
The
people.
Palestinian people have rights. And so he didn't support them. And he didn't support them having nuclear weapons as well.
Right.
And if you look into how Israel got nuclear weapons, it's pretty shady. And so, it's a sham. It's a scam. And you know what? We are paying for it. We're paying for much of it. And so, yeah, the next, actually another president, another former president.
Oh.
We have another former president that was very clear about how he felt as well. And this, he lived to be 100 years old. Guess who it is out there? Do you know the president that lived to be 100 years old? I think he may be the only one that lived to exactly 100.
That also spoke out against Israel.
Right. He talked about the apartheid. He talked about it for many years. He even wrote a book about the apartheid of Israel. And so, yeah, it was Jimmy Carter. Yeah, some interesting quotes from Jimmy Carter about aliens and UFOs too. So if you're interested, just Google that. Yeah, he was going to release all the information about UFOs and aliens as well a long time ago. And so, yeah, Jimmy Carter here. Let's see what old Jimmy had to say.
The word apartheid is exactly accurate. You know, this is an area that's occupied by two powers. They're now completely separated. The Palestinians can't even ride on the same roads that the Israelis have created or built in Palestinian territory. The Israelis never see a Palestinian except the Israeli soldiers. The Palestinians never see an Israeli except at a distance, except the Israeli soldiers. So within Palestinian territory, they're absolutely and totally separated, much worse than they were in South Africa, by the way. And the other thing is, the other definition of apartheid is one side dominates the other, and the Israelis completely dominate the life of the Palestinian people.
Why don't Americans know what you have seen?
Americans don't want to know. The word apartheid.
Did you hear that? Americans don't want to know.
That's the cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive
right?
dissonance.
Because, you know, it also reminds me of this song that I had listened to when before I got saved. It was a song by the Cranberries called Zombie.
Yeah, I remember
And
that
she
song.
says, you know, it's not me, it's not my family.
Right.
So basically, if it doesn't, you know, I mean, people are like, why are you worried about what's going on over there?
Right.
Well, you know, oh, it's not me, it's not my family.
Right.
It could be. You know, what if it was? Then maybe you would be taking a stand. Maybe then you would be speaking up and opening your mind and doing your research on what's really going on and not just listening to the propaganda and the brainwashing that's going on. So here we have another clip.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about the apartheid. So apartheid, I was, looking into the definition, but he talked about the South African apartheid and how the one there in Palestine was even worse than that. Yeah. And so it's basically the majority of their civil rights are restricted. So there's a difference obviously between apartheid and it's gotten even worse with the genocide, where they're actually just eradicating, exterminating, and ethnically cleansing. Yeah. But in an apartheid, basically their civil rights are stripped away. They're still able to work the land and things like that, but they're looked at as less than. They don't have those civil rights and things like that. Right. And there's total segregation as well. And that's why we were calling it like a fenced city. Like all these, there's like 900 checkpoints. How many?
There's a lot of checkpoints.
Yeah, it's like
they can't freely come and go.
I think they said like 900 checkpoints or something like that. Yeah, there's fences everywhere, 900 checkpoints. They can't get to the running water. They have the settlers, the Israeli settlers are coming in. They're building their in-ground pools, and they're filling up their pools, and they're just living lush lifestyles. While these people that have been there, they're living in these little huts, and they've got like water on top of the roof, catching it from the rain and things like that. They don't have water. It's horrible. It is horrible. I mean, you got to look into this. I mean, once you know about it, you know about it.
Right.
And so we just don't know because we don't want to know.
No, and the mainstream media and, the Israeli propaganda, that they're spending billions of dollars on this propaganda. It's being pushed through social media and this and that. It's not until you start looking into it. And you can find all kinds of Jewish people that are not Zionists that are speaking out against this too. Because Zionists and Jews are it's on two different levels here. Not all Jews are Zionists.
Right. So this next clip is with Tucker, and he is going to say some crazy things that I never would have even imagined happened to anybody anywhere. But you think it, and it's going on. It's disgusting.
Oh, it's bad.
It's really bad. So let's see.
The defense minister of Israel, their own Pete Hegseth, described his plans for Gaza, and we're quoting, "No electricity, no food will be allowed in. We are fighting human animals." Well, the deputy mayor of Jerusalem responded, not to say, whoa, settle down, defense minister. No, the deputy mayor of Jerusalem thought he didn't go far enough. And he said this: they're not human animals. They're not human beings. They are subhuman. And then he said that the Palestinians of Gaza should be buried alive with bulldozers, which some ultimately apparently were. And so the aim was genocidal from the very first day. The defense...
Wow. Yeah, they're saying it could be, modest amounts are 200,000 people, but I mean, it could be more than that. It could
way
be way more than that. It could be way more than that. We don't even know who's all buried in the rubble.
Right.
Yeah, we got another, let me bring up that other clip from Tucker.
Right. And then, so now you're starting to see maybe who the real terrorists
Maybe they're getting a glimpse.
are.
Yeah, I agree with JFK.
Yeah.
I agree with Jimmy Carter. I agree with Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely do. In all these things, I agree with Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Candace Owens on this matter.
Oh, yeah.
Baron Coleman, I agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Megyn Kelly even. All right, so this next clip's another clip from Tucker, and here we go. These guys are snakes he's exposing. Oh, sorry.
Here is a couple of tweets from Randy Fine of Florida gloating about the murder of civilians in Gaza. The first is a picture of a dead child killed by the Israeli government that somebody put in his Twitter feed and asked basically, how can you sleep at night? And he says, quite well, actually, thanks for the pic. And the second is a story about starvation in Gaza, which is real and entirely manufactured by the Israeli government with the backstop of the American government. And Randy Fine, on seeing a picture of starving civilians, women and children, writes, starve away. So here you have sitting members of the United States Congress not simply denying genocide, but encouraging it, gloating over it, celebrating it.
Celebrating it. Starve away. Did you see how obese that guy, super obese that guy? That guy was like morbidly obese. Starve away.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
Starve away. Who cares?
You know why? Because we've been dehumanized. Like, they have dehumanized Arabs, Muslims for a very long time. We've been brainwashed. Like, this guy that I follow on Instagram, he's a Jewish guy, but he's not a Zionist. And he was saying how from when from his childhood, that his parents, his dad was actually an IDF soldier. So he had been brainwashed all his life to believe that Arabs were not even human. They were less than human. And that the only good Arab was a dead Arab. Right. So these are things that people have been brainwashed with forever,
right?
Until it becomes like, it makes it easier for us to swallow the pill of them being, the genocide happening there. It makes it easy for us to go to sleep at night because why? Because we've been brainwashed into thinking Muslim equals terrorist,
right?
And so, with that being said, this brainwashing has been going on for a long time, and it was all by design so that when they did start ethnically cleansing, which they are doing, that it wouldn't bother so many because people would think, well, good, get rid of the terrorists before they come here and kill us all. But now we're starting to see who the terrorists really are.
Yeah, it's starting to get a picture here of what's really happening over there in Israel, what's really happening in Gaza there. So yeah, this next video is about some of the propaganda of how we've been brainwashed to hate the Muslims and blame them for everything, when really the Muslim terrorists are just one of many, many terrorists, but the even bigger terrorists are what they're doing over there in the Jewish people that are not real Jews. They're the synagogue of Satan, the synagogue of Satan, the Zionists, right? All right.
When Candace first said a while back, I've been the victim of Israeli propaganda my whole life, and they got me to hate Muslims. Yeah. That was the first time I thought, oh, wait a minute. It was Israeli propaganda. Mm-hmm. Like, I had never thought of it because it's like, I grew up here. So when you ask a fish, how's the water? He says, what water, right? So my experience was what Israeli propaganda? Part of the reason I despise mainstream media so much is because I believe them. They brainwashed me into believing nonsensical things like Ronald Reagan is a cowboy and he's a guy, running a shining city on a hill, and
Obama is great.
Yeah, and Obama is amazing and he's for real change, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And they have been brainwashing us by calling Muslims terrorists when Israel attacked them and took their land over and over and over again in 48 and 67, again during Gaza. And the entire time American media was like, no, the one taking the land, the one doing the genocides, the one doing the attack are the victims.
Yeah.
And they're, oh my God, the victims of Israel. I mean, what a bunch of preposterous liars, right? All lying to us in unison to get us not just to support Israel, that would be one thing, but to hate Muslims so that it's easier for Israel to attack them. And you don't feel bad because they just killed terrorists, according to American media. And so when Candace said that, it kind of did a light bulb for me, even though I grew up Muslim American, right? And so don't tell me that Candace hasn't made a difference. And you could say, yeah, I don't believe the First Lady of France has a penis. So what? So what? Okay. Oh, if you agree with Candace on one thing, you have to agree with her on everything. Why? Who made up that rule?
Yeah.
Who made up that preposterous rule?
Yeah.
No, that rule is made up to divide us, right? So no, Candace and Tucker and Megyn Kelly now are shockingly, yes, it is shocking, but it's absolutely true. They have been terrific on the issue of war, Israel, and being kind to Muslim Americans. So when Candace...
That's right. That's right. Republicans and Democrats, it's all one-sided. It's a script. It's a script. It's a stage show to keep the people divided.
Right? Because when people are unified and they rise up, like they couldn't control that. So what do? They use racism. They divide the left versus the right.
Right.
So they're always trying to divide, and we know that a house divided cannot stand.
Exactly. And I just so happened to look while we were listening to that video. I just Googled in, like, when was the TV started widely disseminated in America? Guess when it was? 1947 and 1948.
Wow.
That's when the TV began to get to spread in America. It was like sanctioned by the FCC in like 41, and then 47, 48, everybody started to have TVs. So wow, just what a convenient time for all the American households to start getting televisions is right when the nation state of Israel came about. Just to get everybody programmed to get on board. Get on board the Israel train, everybody. Wow. So yeah, next up, Anna Kasparian. She's a reporter with TYT, and she tells it like it is.
Oh yeah,
she's
her.
great. She's unbiased. She tells it like it is. Don't agree with her about everything, but I tell you what, I agree with her about a whole lot. And yeah, check out this next little clip here.
Indian hostages get returned without their organs intact.
Yes.
Israel won awards for, the most organ transplants. Where'd they get those organs from? No terrorist worse than the Israelis exists. I'm sorry, but they've trained dogs to Palestinian hostages?
No.
100%. The New York Times, of all places, Zionist Publication 101, recently publicized a story about that.
Dogs.
And I say hostages because we're talking about Palestinians that were kidnapped by the Israelis, thrown into these, prisons. They haven't been charged with a crime. They've never seen a day in court. They just languish in these facilities for months and months and months. If they're lucky, they might be able to make it out alive. A lot of them don't make it out alive.
I'm curious, when they released the Israeli hostages, how many of them were the same way these Palestinian hostages are being?
You can all go back and watch the videos of what the hostages looked like when they were being released. By the way, I am not justifying what Hamas did, taking hostages. That alone is disgusting and bad enough. However, a lot of Palestinian hostages get returned without their organs intact.
Yes.
Israel won awards for, the most organ transplants.
Wow. They won awards for the most organ transplants.
Right.
Wow, that makes sense. All these bodies.
Right, sure.
All these bodies out there. So
and they have the largest skin bank.
In
the world. Where are they getting the skin from?
That gives me Silence of the Lambs vibes.
I know.
Yeah.
It's sick. And I mean, I did watch another video, because one of the things too, as we're talking about these torture camps and stuff like that, in the propaganda, right? They're always like, oh, Hamas is in the hospitals. Hamas is hiding the weapons in the hospitals. Well, I watched a video two videos actually on two different doctors that were operating in Gaza, who are, one of them was from, I don't know, maybe Britain or somewhere, and the other one was from another place, and they went over there as humanitarian doctors to help out. And so, they were interviewed and they were asking them, like, was there Hamas in the hospitals with the weapons? And they were like, no, absolutely not. And they were just giving horror story after horror story of being overworked, being starved. Like, they're over there operating on people. The one guy said he lost 12 pounds in a week, and he was doing back-to-back surgeries. Like, I mean, it is. And now I don't think there's any hospitals there because Israel has blown up. All the hospitals. So there's really no hospital there to bring the people to.
This isn't some like one-off story, like one random person, like we had to go search for like some random person that was given a testimony if something bad happened. No, there are literally probably thousands. I don't know how many, but they're out there. They're abundant, available. And they're not only that, but there's actually, and we're going to hear an interview a little bit later, and there's more of them out there. Tucker interviewed a former, Army person. They have Marines and just different military people. Lots of Americans going over there to give aid and things like that, and coming back and reporting what's going on at these camps and everything. So these are not one-off stories. And there's so many actually Jewish people that are not supportive of the nation state of Israel. So, so this isn't just some one-off thing. So if you start digging around for the evidence for these things, you won't have to look very far.
Right.
And so we'll bring up this next clip. This is a radio broadcaster named Mike Malloy, and talks a little bit about the lie that religion is a license to occupy. It's like is grace a license to sin?
Right.
Is your false religion that rejects Jesus a license for you to kill, steal, and destroy? Oh no, that would be the devil.
Right.
That would be the devil.
The Israelis, Bibi, if you will, he's flying in American pastors, giving, free trips to Israel. Why? So they can be brainwashed further, and then they could brainwash the congregants. And all that money keeps going to Israel.
Oh, yeah. I've been invited to Israel before to go with churches and things like that for different events and things like that. Yes, they get you over there and get you brainwashed.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. No, thanks. All right, so this next clip here.
Supposed to defend themselves. How can they do that?
Well, wait a second, Mimi. Let me just turn it around and ask you something. You have lived in St. Paul, Minnesota for probably, let's say, 100 years. And all of a sudden, I show up on your doorstep, literally on your doorstep. And I say to you, Mimi, get out of this house. This is my house. Let me tell you why it's my house. It's my house because my religion says it's my house. Now get out. Now, I happen to be standing on your doorstep with a gun pointed at your head, and I order you and your family out of your house. And I tell you that it's my house, not your house. And the reason it's my house and my block and my neighborhood is because my religious belief says it's mine. And you sit there and you say, well, no. What are you talking about? We've been here 100 years. I'm sorry. Get out, Mimi. So you leave. And the reason you leave is because you know if you don't, I'm going to blow up your house and probably blow up your family. So you leave and you move down the street. And for the next 60 years, you sit there and you get very, very angry because I came into your house and told you to get out. So what you do, Mimi, you decide, well, I know what I'll do. I'm going to start throwing rocks at what used to be my house. It'll break the windows. That'll make that damn Malloy move. So you start throwing rocks. And then I come outside and I say, Mimi, were you throwing rocks? And you look at me rather sheepishly. And that's when I level an RPG at you and your family and your house. And I pull the trigger and all of a sudden, whoosh, you're all gone. Now, which of us is the terrorist? You tell me.
When are the
There goes your cognitive dissonance.
Right. That really puts it in perspective. I know, after I watched that video, I really started thinking about, you know what? It's so true. it doesn't resonate with us because we live in America. That hasn't happened to us. But, that goes back even further, look at the people that came to America. I mean, that's another show for another time.
Sure,
but
yeah.
the settlers that came to America
Right.
and took this land,
Right.
you
All
know what
kinds
I'm
of
saying?
wickedness,
I
right.
mean, there's all kinds of wickedness that happened there and lies that we've been fed about that too. But that's another show for another time.
Right. No.
So here we
People-
go.
Yeah,
Let's-
sinners are going to sin.
Right. To the
Sinners are
next-
going to sin. Jesus is the only escape. Yeah, next clip here. Now we're going to add a short little clip of a little bit of comedy here because this is a little AI, but this is basically, what's going on. They're the ones running the banks and they're the ones running,
They run everything.
Right, exactly. These Jews are running everything, and they're a synagogue of Satan if they're doing evil. And so take a look at this little clip. Pay attention. I'm going to probably play it twice because you might miss it
It's
the
so
first
funny.
time. But let's bring this to the stage here. All right, little comedy here.
Anyway,
The going must learn-
APAC stands for the American
Israeli
something.
public. What is it? Public Affairs Commission.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the Israel and America. It's the people.
Right, so the
yeah.
APAC is paying off politicians.
Exactly.
I mean, so they are just funneling money to pay off whoever they need to pay off for the cause of greater Israel.
Or you'll get canceled if you don't like the Massey Thomas Massey out of Kentucky. Basically, AIPAC supported someone, spent millions of dollars to get him out of there. So if AIPAC doesn't want you in there, then they're gonna do whatever it takes to get you out of there by giving tons of money, using tons of money to get these politicians into key roles, so that everybody will keep supporting Israel. And so let me back up here again. Let's refresh this.
And in case you don't know, we are Goyim.
Goyim, yeah.
So Goyim is anyone that's not Jew, or Goy.
Right. So a goy. So what's a goy again?
A Goy is a person that's not a Jew.
Right. A goy is
a Gentile.
anybody not a Jew. Anybody not a Jew, or anybody mixed, or anything like that. So here, let me press the.
The Goyim must learn that their purpose in life is to give us all their money, every single penny, not to hold it, not to invest it, but to bring it to us. The Goyim work, we build. The Goyim save, we. The Goyim must learn that their purpose in life is to give us all their money, every single penny, not to hold it, not to invest it, but to bring it to us. The Goyim work, we build. The Goyim save, we.
Right. So basically, they own you.
Right.
That's what he's trying to say.
Right.
That's crazy. So, anyways, all right. So stop sharing that. And get that off there. And what we're going to go into next is the investigating. So this is the next clip is kind of a longer clip. We're going to bring that up. And investigating Israeli terrorism in the West Bank. So these are actually two American soldiers, right? I'm sure that they're not in service anymore. They probably did a 2 or 4 year enlistment, and they're probably not in service anymore. But this is an interview with two American soldiers. We've got about 4 segments of it that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
And so let me pull that up, and I'm going to make it big, and let you guys really soak this one in, because this is pretty impressive. What's the first section?
The first section is what do Jews think about Jesus?
So 27:22. All right, so listen up.
Him as a false messiah, like terrible narratives about Jesus and about his mother, about Mary. They call her a whore, a harlot. They call Jesus that he's like I said, a bastard, that he's burning in human excrement. They hate Christians more than they hate Muslims. It is very true that if a Christian were to walk down some areas in Jerusalem or others, that they would be spit on.
Like imagine a mother, a father, and children.
They tell them,
passing
hey,
by a
there's a Christian.
Not even talking, they just do it together. They just all do it. It's like a common practice.
Common practice to spit on the Christians.
Spit on the Christians.
Even that, I can't even think of his name right now. That former police officer. He's got that big podcast. He's supposed to be conservative.
Sean Ryan.
No, not Sean Ryan. The black guy.
I
Tatum.
don't know.
Officer Tatum.
Oh, okay.
Officer Tatum, which he loves Israel, and he's basically in bed with them. But he said when they went over there, Officer Tatum, he was spit on as well. So that's what they're doing to Christians, spitting on them. Now, the next part is a little bit of Christian Zionism. Go back to 2404 and check out this part. All right. This is a former Marine This guy was a Marine, and then he went over there to try and help the people over there.
These older Christians so captured and invested in Israel.
We need to talk about John Darby and his creation of the theological ideology of dispensationalism, which is the idea that God has two different groups of chosen people. He has the Christians, the church, and then he has the Jews. And so that's where Christian Zionism comes from, is from Darby.
Let's break down the mechanics of how Christians are actually funding this brutality you are witnessing. You see, Israel developed a brilliant plan. They do not have to convince the entire American public to participate in the settler movement. They just have to influence how our pastors think. What they do is fly thousands of pastors out to all expenses paid trips to Israel. And when they get their message across, these pastors return to the United States, where they proceed to funnel hundreds of millions of dollars annually into the settler movement. And the reason pastors do this is they believe that Jewish settlement of these areas is necessary to bring about the second coming of Christ. So essentially, to fulfill this prophecy, they are willing to enable the persecution and suffering of thousands along the way. It's actually insane to read about Jesus in the Bible helping the sick and the broken, and then to look up and see these American churches funding a movement that does not seem to respect Christians or even obey the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's property. I thought we had shared Judeo-Christian values. The cognitive dissonance is hard to understand.
So with that in mind, Christian Zionists think they have this fear through cognitive dissonance that if they oppose Israel for whatever reason, whether they're committing genocide blatantly in the open or not, they're turning their back on God. And that is deathly fearful to their mind, thinking to themselves, if I curse Israel, if I go against Israel, even if they commit a genocide, I'm going to go to hell maybe. They're just willful idiots to them. They don't care about Christianity. They don't care about Jesus. They hate Jesus. They don't care about America.
Guys, it is fascinating to watch Christian Zionists supporting Israel. After all, it is not going so well for Christians over in that part of the world. For starters, it appears it is culturally normal for Jewish adults and children to spit on Christians. And even Officer Tatum, a known Israeli mouthpiece, told Benjamin Netanyahu to his face that he got spit on when he visited the Holy Land.
We had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors.
And let's be real, Israeli spitting is the least of Christian concerns over there. The IDF routinely prevents Christians from worshiping, and Israel literally bombed the last remaining Catholic church in Gaza.
Tonight, a look at the damage to Gaza's only Catholic church after it was struck by Israeli artillery,
which resulted in the Pope calling the act outright barbarity. Folks,
oh, wow. All right, next clip we're going to go over to is about the water scarcity and the land grab over there. So we'll take it back to 440.
To get to school, say building a well, and water scarcity, it's the Middle East, so the water under your feet is regulated and watched by the Israeli authorities.
Tell you how many stories we know on a personal level of women like giving birth on a checkpoint because they wouldn't clear them to go to the hospital. I mean, it's just crazy.
What do you think the Israeli goal is in all of this?
Displacement, land theft. In the context of Palestine today, they want it all without the Palestinians. So they want the land without the people.
הכל יהיה מיושב, כל יישובים יהודים, הערבים, בעזרת השם, או שהם יעבדו אצלנו ויהיו ילדים טובים, או שאנחנו נזרוק אחד למדינות שלהם.
They are extremely calculated, and they know how to slowly push people out.
My name is Clyde. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran, Christian, who visited Palestine to expose the truth of what's going on, and I'm here to expose the truth of Christian Zionism in America. As soon as you drive in, it is clear as day. Like I said, you can see the difference between the Palestinian village, and it would have barbed wire fences around it. They would cordon them off and literally block them in. So like a village would be its own little camp, its own like kind of concentration camp. And at times the Israeli military will go in and they'll lock those gates up so that the Palestinians literally can't leave their village. Once they get out of their little village, if the gates open, they leave. I used to think it was 700, but I just confirmed it's over 900 checkpoints within the West Bank. And the West Bank is a tiny plot of land. The whole of the Holy Land is like the size of New Jersey. The West Bank is a tiny little chunk of that. Research can only paint so much of a picture. When you go there, it's completely different. You see it firsthand, you feel it firsthand, and how it actually literally is an open air prison.
Folks, to understand the modern settler movement, let me take you back to 1968. Meet Rabbi Moshe Levinger. For him, evicting hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to build the land of Israel was not enough. He wanted more land. So he organized a militant following that had one clear mission: cross over the border and take the West Bank. So he brought his radical crew to the city of Hebron and went to an Arab innkeeper and said they would be spending one night to celebrate a peaceful Passover tradition. But in typical Israeli fashion, he lied. In fact, his crew woke up the next morning and declared that this inn was theirs and that the hotel owner needed to leave. And at this point, they were surrounded by the Palestinians that actually lived there, and Rabbi Levinger put the Israeli government in a pickle. They could decide to drag Levinger's crew out by force, or they could send in the military to protect them. And afraid of the terrible optics of evicting illegal squatters, the Israeli government sent in the military. And folks, this is the same playbook that you see in use today. Israeli settlers will lie, cheat, and take by force land that is not theirs, play the victims, and then call in the IDF to protect them.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
And to be clear, to everyone except for Israelis and Zionists, this is known as breaking international law. This land is not theirs.
Wow. And if that wasn't enough, we got one more clip from this investigating Israeli terrorism in the West Bank. You can check it out yourself in its entirety on YouTube. Investigating Israeli terrorism in the West Bank. Go over to 1610.
Doing to people right now.
We could start with, burning the land, burning crops, burning homes, throwing rocks at vehicles, sometimes fire bombs, sometimes shooting at these vehicles.
You might have a Palestinian ambulance, and they'll literally pull up in front of the ambulance and slow down. These are just basic Israeli settler civilians, hoping that the person injured or whatnot would essentially die off. It's a loathing and a hatred that I don't think I've seen really in any other version of, like, any other conflict. There's a sense of entitlement to these settlers. They really seriously believe that the land that we are under, that we've been around, that we've been on, that we've lived in, that our heritage is built around, is theirs by God.
They were given basically M16s to anyone that wanted to go get.
Where do those M16s come from?
USA.
Yep, you heard that right. We are sending American guns to Israel, and they are getting handed out by guys like Ben-Gvir to Israeli settlers that then in turn use them to attack Palestinians, some of which are Palestinian Americans. And it got so bad that in 2023, the Biden administration halted the sale of rifles to Israel because of all of these settler attacks. Ah yes, our greatest ally is using our own guns to attack Americans and innocent Palestinians. How wonderful. For those not familiar, Ben-Gvir is a far-right Israeli politician known for his bloodlust and eradicating Palestinians. He's the type of guy that enjoys wearing noose pendants on his shirt for fun. And here he is celebrating the recent law that legalized the death penalty for Palestinians. And this has widely been criticized as a racist apartheid law. As long as Ben-Gvir remains alive, he will be a guy that advocates for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians entirely.
So the American taxpayer money is going to Palestine, to Israel, using it to kill Americans. Remember, our village is 80% American.
So me and you are both two American entrepreneurs who've paid a lot in taxes. What does it make you think when your hard-earned tax money is going to the death of your sons?
It kills you knowing that your own money funded people that directly had something to do with the murder of your own son.
Dude, oh man, I could, you want to talk about the foreign aid, or you want to talk about the shadow money that gets funneled through shadow nonprofits?
Which is multitudes of more money.
Man, so like I could just talk about the Central Fund of Israel as an example. I think 98% of all funding that went towards a settlement expansion project went through this specific 501c3. They are 501c3.
You can get a tax rebate for this. Like, the U.S. is really just a big fat cow for them to just suck dry.
Use and abuse.
Israel would not be able to do what it does. It would not be able to have the control that it has and function as a state without the free money that we're giving them every year.
Talk about the...
Wow, cash cow. That's how they look at us.
Oh yeah, and
as a
remember
cash
that
cow.
video that we saw of Netanyahu a while back, where he said America is the golden calf,
golden calf,
and
that's
we
what I was
must
thinking
milk it dry or
Exactly.
something like
No,
that.
I remember. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. I'm glad,
right, and
I'm
that's
glad you brought
what
that
they
up.
really think.
I know.
But we just go ahead. I don't, but people just go ahead.
Well,
and
yeah,
support.
we're subsidizing it through these 501c3 nonprofits. That one was $95 million. I wonder how much money
The church sends
well,
over there.
TBN even.
Right,
Kenneth
Kenneth Copeland, Hagee, all of them are sending millions.
Millions. I would say collectively, I'm sure billions.
Right,
Of
over
dollars
there, right.
to pay for all
Right.
of this. And I cannot.
The blood of all of those innocents are crying out.
Yeah. Right, avenge us. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So God's going to avenge them. He's going to be coming back with flaming fire, taking vengeance on all those that know not God and obey not the gospel
Right.
of Jesus Christ. And they're going to be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and the glory of his power. So he's coming back to judge. So hey, we're sounding the alarm. And he's looking for others that are going to sound the alarm and expose
Right.
this evil. It is evil.
Right, and you know, there's a lot of Christians that are racist. You know, because somebody's Muslim, or because that's like, you know, all Muslims are terrorists. Okay, I guess it's okay to be racist now that you're born again. You know, I mean, I think there's one race, it's the human race, and we're all created in the image of God. And so that's like saying, oh, every black person's a thief, or every white person is a meth head that's inbred. You can't classify all people as one thing because one person did something, or a handful of people did something, or whatever.
Right.
So we're going to go into a video right now that one of the other videos had touched on. So the Israelis, they are shooting people for sport. So they have like a time of day where people can go and get just a few little morsels of food, not even that. But so people are hungry, and they might send in their sons to go get the food because they got to walk for miles and miles and miles in the hot sun and sand with sometimes no shoes to go get something to eat, if they're allowed that. And the Israeli soldiers will just start shooting them for sport. And they have many videos of Israeli soldiers saying this. I'm not saying it, they said it.
Right.
And then they'll detain people just to detain them. They'll make up stuff that doctors and hospitals are Hamas, when it's doctors from other countries doing surgeries on people, trying to help people. It's all lies. It's propaganda. They just want to clean out and kill as many people as they can so they can take the land, build it up, put the Trump resort on it, or whatever
Right.
they want to
Golf
do.
course.
It's sick. But another thing that they're doing is some of the prisoners that they take, and even some American citizens who went over there on, they called it what, a flotilla?
Flotilla.
So they went over there and they took them and they did horrible things. The Israeli soldiers raped people,
Right.
American citizens.
American
They
citizens,
raped
raping them.
people. Their dogs are raping people. The
Training the
Israeli
canines, right.
army is training their dogs to rape people. They were electrocuting people in their genitals.
Right.
How is this okay? Like, how is that okay, really?
Right.
So doesn't the Bible say don't return evil for evil? But,
Right.
you know, people just, you know, whatever, because they're Muslims and
Right.
because we've been brainwashed to believe that they're all terrorists.
Right. And they hate, and
makes
don't
it
forget, they even hate the Americans, especially the Christian. They hate the Christians more than they even hate the Muslims and the Arabs.
Right.
The Arabs.
Right.
So yeah.
So they've got everyone deceived. So here's a video of somebody who has had a eyewitness of the dogs raping people.
Right. Right. Giving a report of all the sexual abuse within the prison system there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm hoping I can get this video to come up. All right. Give me a second here. All right. Screen.
If you can't, that's
No,
okay. I'll just kind
Go
of
ahead.
like.
I want to bring.
Oh,
it up. Yeah,
okay.
give me a second. Go ahead and share.
Yeah, and so just like a side note, like the people that I'm talking about that are taking in prison, it's not like the terrorists that they got and they're you know harming. it's people. It's people. You know, it might have just been somebody that was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Somebody going to get food for their family or whatever. Like they have this yellow line that they're saying is the mark. Well, right here I have written down that Israeli forces have killed over 150 Palestinians near the yellow line. I guess they're not supposed to cross this line, including at least 35 children. And during the ceasefire, Israel has killed at least 922 Palestinians during the ceasefire. They don't quit. They just keep going because they want the land. Right. So here's the video about the dog rape going on.
Right.
Sick.
To rape Palestinian inmates. I spoke to a remarkable woman. Her name is Maha Husseini. Maha has been in Gaza since day one of the genocide, and she's been displaced 8 times. She spoke to us from Gaza City. Your organization, Euromed Human Rights Monitor, has produced this extraordinary report, Another Genocide Behind Walls, which looks particularly at the use of sexual torture in Israeli detention centers. Can you summarize for us very briefly what that report says?
Yeah, this report is actually the outcome of work we've been doing since the beginning of the genocide. Overall, we documented at least 7 forms of sexual violence practiced against Palestinians in Israeli places of detention, including rape, actual cases of rape, threats of rape, forced nudity, assaults on genitals, verbal and physical harassment, and coerced exposure to rape, where the Israeli, of course, officers and soldiers actually force Palestinians to witness the rape of other inmates or other detainees. Of course, the majority of these testimonies actually belong to men other than women, and this does not mean that women did not or were not subjected to sexual violence as much as men, but because we are speaking about a conservative society where women actually don't feel very comfortable speaking about being subjected to sexual violence. Many men described being raped several times over the course of several days.
One thing that leaps out of your report is the use of dogs to rape male detainees. There's other evidence around this now as well. How solid and widespread is the evidence for that particular crime now?
Yes, actually, this is not the first time that we documented cases of dogs abusing, or trained dogs actually abusing or raping Palestinian detainees inside Israeli jails. In this report particularly, we documented several cases. I will just read one of the shocking cases that we documented. One detainee told us that he was detained, of course, in Sdeti Man, and this is where most of the violations occur. He said that they took a group of detainees and me to the corridor between the sections and forced us to strip completely naked. The soldiers brought in several dogs. One of them urinated on me. One of the dogs then raped me, penetrated my anus in a trained manner when I was being beaten. This continued for several minutes. I felt profoundly humiliated and violated. Other, of course, men we met said that after they were raped by the soldiers, they also were raped by dogs in the very same day. And this is something that also confirms that this is a systematic policy, because no army trains dogs on raping humans unless this is something that is accepted by the highest rank in the authority.
Yeah.
Right.
What can you say about that? You know, it's just wicked.
So imagine
training them to do
that, right?
bestiality.
Imagine that you are displaced You know, anybody that's ever been through a hurricane in New Orleans understands displacement, but not on the level that they're going there. Imagine you got nowhere to go and you're living in a tent and and there's rats and your family is starving. They are only giving you like little, you know, crumbs of food, just enough to survive. And they're killing people left and right. And they even had, they're putting bombs. The Israeli soldiers are putting bombs in soup cans, and they had this little boy that was running up there for a can of soup because he was hungry, and it blew up and killed him, and they thought it was really funny. And so what did that little boy do? He's hungry. And so imagine that, right? You're displaced, you're not eating, you're oppressed, and then they detain you for whatever reason they make up, whether or not they want what you have or whatever. They'll just detain you. And then imagine if a dog comes and starts raping your wife. Are you going to start thinking different of the Israelis then? I mean,
right. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Ugh, horrible. And, you know, like we said earlier, you know, it's not just non-Jewish people that believe this.
Right.
There's plenty of Jewish people
that are taken to the streets. Jewish people are going over there on boats to
help them
speak out against this, right? I mean, it really is. It's sad. It's disturbing that, you know, just as a society of people that we don't see anything wrong with that.
Right. I know. Wow. Well, you want to play this next clip?
Yeah.
All right. We'll play this next clip here. It's actually the last clip.
Yeah.
We'll close it out. All righty. This guy's Jewish and he supports Palestine. Let's see what he's got to say. Whoops. Let's start it again. Excuse me.
I'm Jewish, and I'm pro-Palestinian. Because for me, being Jewish means standing against injustice. It means remembering our history. A history of being displaced, dispossessed, and told our lives don't matter. It means not standing in silence. It means standing out, speaking out against injustice with compassion. Supporting Palestinian rights isn't anti-Semitic. It's pro-humanity. And I say that as someone who's really proud of being Jewish. When I speak out for Palestinians, I don't do it in spite of my Judaism. I do it because of it. Because never again for one group of people must actually mean never again for anyone. There's an important Jewish learning, tikkun olam, to heal the world. That's what we need to do right now. We need to end all violence. You can be Jewish, and you can stand up for Palestinian human rights. They're not opposite things. In fact, they're connected in humanity.
What's this? Is it Psalm 7:11 where he says the violence, like his soul,
soul that suffers violence he hates?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just
he hates. Yes.
Yes. And so I wanted to read this too before, you know, we end the show. This is just a little bit of
please.
Different things that are going on there, and these are firsthand accounts. Okay. Sure. Okay. So Magi was shot while standing 100 meters from the security fence. IDF soldier shot a 16-year-old Ahmed Abu Tayyer in the thigh as he danced the traditional Palestinian dance alone with his hands in the air, around 10 to 15 meters from the separation fence. The bullet severed his femoral artery and he died of his wounds the following day. The ISF shot 11-year-old Nasser Masav in the back of the head, an 11-year-old in the back of the head. Nasser had been helping his two volunteer paramedic sisters treating injured people when the victim was shot. He was under a tree 250 meters from the fence. The bullet entered the right side of his head behind his ear, and parts of his skull and brain were found close to his body. Abid Abdullah was a 22-year-old volunteer paramedic. ISF soldiers shot him in the chest in Rafah as he was tending to an injured demonstrator near the separation fence. Abdullah was wearing a white paramedic jacket and carrying a red first aid kit when the ISF soldier shot him. He died of bleeding and lacerations to his thoracic organs. The ISF shot 30-year-old journalist Yasser Martaha with live ammunition in the lower abdomen as he covered a demonstration site. Yasser was wearing a dark blue bulletproof vest carefully marked with the word press and a blue helmet. So the Israeli soldiers, they were taking out press, like the people that are going there to report on what's happening, they're killing them. That's why sometimes you see Free Palestine, Free Press, because they're killing the press that are going there to report on the genocide. They're getting killed for reporting. Okay, so this guy, he was wearing a bulletproof vest that said press and a blue helmet. He was standing approximately 300 meters from the separation fence. He died of his injuries the following morning. Fai Sali was a 29-year-old double amputee. The ISF shot him in the chest. He died immediately. The IDF shot him. They shot him as he sat in his wheelchair under a tree, 250 to 300 meters from the separation fence. Okay, Ahmed was 24 years old. He walked, with crutches. Okay, and then so, I mean, I have lists and lists, and I could go on for a long time. But so, I mean, it's really bad. It's worse than what people think. And, you know, I believe that, you know, one of the problems, like I've said in other shows that we have in America, is that, you know, if somebody doesn't look like us, if somebody doesn't dress like us, if somebody's not on the same page theology-wise, you know, theoretically, with us, that we can't like them. We can't feel for them. We can't have compassion or empathy towards them. If someone disagrees with us, we can't even have a conversation, you know, an intelligent conversation without people not, you know, not even wanting to give an open ear to what you're saying or not wanting to search a thing out. The Bible says to search it out.
Right.
But, you know, people today just don't want to do it. They're puffed up with pride, or, you know, they're like, oh, it doesn't pertain to me. It's not me. It's not my family, like that song I was saying. So anyway,
God resists the proud.
That's right.
And he gives grace to the humble. So God's saying, humble yourself in my sight, and I will lift you up out of your deception, out of your pride. So as we close tonight's episode, we're going to leave you with this question. Are your beliefs shaped by facts, or are the facts being shaped or filtered through your beliefs, through that cognitive dissonance, right? So that cognitive dissonance. So no matter where you stand on Israel, and we've definitely flip-flopped on Israel, so hey, there's space to repent. God gives you space once you're aware of these facts.
Right.
And so no matter where you stand on Israel or Palestine or Gaza, we know that we're pro-humanity and that human lives are at stake.
Yes.
And the truth does matter. So don't take our word for it. Examine the evidence for yourself. Watch these videos. Go dig around. Do your due diligence. Do your research. Challenge your assumptions and things you've been taught. Seek the truth and go wherever that truth leads. Don't be afraid of losing a status, or don't be afraid of what people are going to say about you, or even getting kicked out of your church or anything like that. Don't be afraid. But go wherever the truth leads you. But you have to open your eyes. Don't be like what Jimmy Carter says. Well, Americans, they don't want to know.
They don't
want to know. So don't be the people that do not want to know. So faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And in the word of God, it says no partiality in your judgment. We're supposed to judge our neighbor in righteousness. And if we are rightly dividing the word of God, we cannot, as Christians, we cannot even as people, stand behind a government that is going to ethnically cleanse and genocide and the modern day Holocaust. We cannot support that if you call yourself a Christian, especially. So until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking the truth, and stay on the quest. The quest. So God bless you all, and good night.